What's up, guys? We're back with the one, the only, r/Prorevenge. So, a few quick announcements before we get this going. First, the obvious, we have some amazing new channel art. This was made by Spaced Out, and she does some phenomenal work. And if you're looking for some amazing work done for yourself, look no further. Check out her Twitter at all_spaced out. Speaking of Twitter, we now have a Fubeer Twitter page. We're growing a lot faster than I expected, and it's getting really hard to respond to all your comments across all the videos. So I've decided to make a Twitter page to make staying in contact a lot easier. So, if you got a bonus subreddit you like, a personal story you want me to read, or just want to hang out, that's going to be the best place to reach me. Alright, enough of the talk, let's get on to the stories. See you in a bit. Neighbors from Hell. This happened a year or so ago, but I'd figured I'd share it here. Little backstory. I live in a flat/apartment on the first floor. There are 6 flats in the building, 1 on each side, ground floor, first floor, and second floor. Everyone got along great until the neighbors from Hell moved directly above me. These 2 self-entitled twunts are absolute a-holes. Constant banging and heavy walking, doors slamming, screaming matches, the lot. The previous couple had a newborn baby, and we never heard a peep out of them. Police had been called a few times, as they begun smoking inside the apartment. Very strict rule against it. Claimed they shouldn't have to walk all those stairs. Yet the couple that lived opposite them both smoked and went out to have a smoke. They also smoked weed in the building. The place stunk. We were all annoyed. So, we got in contact with the building management company to do something about it. They sent out letters to everyone's post, reminding people smoking wasn't allowed in the building. E-cigarettes are okay in your own apartment, but not in the communal areas. This went on for months. Eventually, the 2 a-holes started smoking their precious weed in the car, then coming back into the building. Fine, not my problem. Until one day, you could tell they were getting high as they'd sit in the car for up to an hour. They decided to go for a drive and almost hit a child. It's a huge estate with a park nearby, so optimal place for children to play and, well, be children. Child's parents call the police. Same old crap, nothing happens. Even though they were under the influence of cannabis. Okay, if they won't do anything, I will. I waited patiently. Every time I heard a single step too loud, my blood boiled. But I was biding my time. One day, I came home, and they were having another screaming match. Then giggling, followed by more banging, and screaming some more. I had a crap day at work, really awful mood, and had enough. I called the police. Not the non-emergency number, but the emergency one. I put on my best, "Oh my God," voice, and tell them, "The couple upstairs have been smoking weed. They drove home and got in a huge fight. I just heard the girl shout, 'No, please, Chad, no.'" 'Cause it's always Chad. I tell them that I'm concerned something may have happened to her, and the screaming has stopped. There have been funny-looking people walking into the building at all hours, and everyone in the building thinks he deals in drugs. The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 cars, 3 officers. I guess my bloody murder worries made them hurry. They find the girl passed out and almost ODing. God knows what she took. And him butt naked. They give him time to get dressed and off he goes to the station. We later found out he had had enough drugs and weapon in the house to prosecute, along with all of our complaints and the hitting of a child with a vehicle while under the influence of a Class B drug. She got a huge fine. I've heard different amounts from people, but the one most used is £2,000 and 6 months community service, as well as mandatory drug tests. He got 3 years in jail. We all thought they rented the apartment upstairs. They didn't. Apparently, the guy's grandmother was some self-made millionaire in the hose construction business and bought him the house. She must have been crushed when her golden boy was arrested. Moral of the story: the building is now much quieter, doesn't stink of weed, children are safe, and there aren't unwanted people trapezing in and out of the building at all hours. Any Chads out there listening? Don't worry, you're the exception to the rule. But I swear, Chads out there in the world, don't trust them, man. Don't do it. No school principal post for you. It was in high school, 10th grade, US of A. So I'm about 16 and recently made friends with a guy named Mario from a class project we were given. Background: I grew up in the inner city during the 1990s, so figured if you were in DC, New York, or any familiar East Coast city. Anyhow, since this was public school, teachers and admins don't really care about us, other than making sure we're not stabbing and shooting each other. Since me and Mario came from low income and welfare backgrounds, we really didn't have nice things. I did my share of shame, but I never stole from anybody. One day, we're having a big school assembly for a speaker who survived a motorcycle accident. It was fun to get out of class for 2 periods. So at the end of the assembly, I was leaving, and Mario called out to me and asked me to grab his jacket as he left it on the chair. Me, without thinking, grabbed it and gave it to him. Cue a couple weeks later, and I had to go to the counselor to get some records for my PSAT. The vice principal, VP, at that time, was there as her office was next to my counselor, and she had stopped me and asked me about a stolen jacket. I was scared out of my mind because I did not steal anybody's jacket, and she told me I was facing expulsion for stealing another student's jacket. At this time, I was on track for some academic scholarship and was scared out of my mind about this. She brought me to the room where they kept troubled kids, and I was pointed out by another student as taking a jacket a while back, and then it dawned on me. Mario had me pass the jacket to him. I tried to explain the situation, that my friend said it was his, so I grab it and give it to him. I didn't know it was another student's. I gave Mario's name to sort out the situation, and he came clean and told the VP I didn't know. However, this VP didn't like me because of the fact that this dark skin was working towards winning this academic scholarship, usually a white student one. So what did she do? She told me to bring my mom in the next day. My mom did not speak English, by the way, and a punishment was to be handed. Not only did I get a butt whooping when I got home, but now I needed to bring my mom to school, who didn't even understand the situation. Without any way to defend myself, the VP, without mercy, suspended me for a week and put it on my record. I cried as I was so upset. This woman basically tried to screw up my life and rather wanted me to fall into the life of gangs and crime people of my kind were susceptible to. Long story short, I took the week off and came back ready to fight back towards winning the scholarship. Senior year, I win the scholarship anyway and got a 4-year ride for college and put the experience behind me, or so I thought. 2 weeks before graduation, I was asked to sit on a selection committee for the vacated principal post. I was selected because of my studies and also my personal background. Google Cambodia, and you can imagine what my parents went through. There was a CV packet of a name. It was the name of the VP a couple years back who gave me no leniency. I read her cover letter, and she wrote about caring about students. Choices we make in admin roles have profound effects on children, and all the garbage. Oh, and she wrote she knew the school very well and the students there. Game on. When she came in, she didn't recognize who I was, so I play it coy and let her speak. And then it was time for us to ask questions. Guess what I asked? I asked her, if a student ever got into something, my situation, would you punish the student to the max? And if she ever faced something like this before? She said she would fully investigate, and if the student was unaware and was a good student, there would be no need to be that extreme. Also, she noted, luckily, she never had to face a situation like that. Then I asked her, does she recognize me? She genuinely didn't. So I told the group what happened to me with her and gave them copies of the report she signed. Her face dropped, and I don't recall what else happened, but the questioning continued until she was dismissed. In our deliberation, they were vouching for her, but I was adamant in my no vote, and we ended up giving the post to acting principal. Don't know what happened to her since, but Mario, last I heard, went back to Puerto Rico, and I went to college, grad school, now ABD, and interning as a civil employee. Is that really a thing where students can be put on a deliberation council? Because if so, that's a horrible idea. I mean, it's very easy for a student to not like the authority they were under for so many years. You mess with my sleep, I'll send you back to the Stone Age. A little bit of background. I live in the Netherlands and own an apartment in an older building. There are 6 apartments on 3 floors that share a stairwell, and we all have a private storage in the basement, as well as a larger shared space where most people put their bicycle. I live on the top floor. This happened a few years ago. The apartment below me was rented out to an Eastern European lady. She was a migrant worker. She had lived there for almost a year with no problems whatsoever. In this period, I worked full-time during the weekdays, and on Saturday every few weeks. On Friday night and Saturday night, I had a side gig as a bouncer at a music venue. So basically, I worked a lot, and definitely didn't make the recommended 8 hours of sleep during the weekends. On Friday, as I came home at 3 a.m. for my bouncer gig, my downstairs neighbor is playing her music really, really loud. As in, I couldn't have a normal conversation in my living room without raising my voice. I figure she's having a party and think nothing of it. It happens from time to time, and she had never caused any sort of problem. So I try to go to sleep. The music continues until 6 a.m. The next Saturday, I come home at 3:30 a.m. Same story. I figure, well, maybe she's had people over from her country and they party all weekend. A bit annoying, but I shrug it off. The music continues until 6 a.m. again. Nothing happens during the week. Friday, I get home around 3:30. Again, loud music, louder than the week before. I rung the doorbell and knocked on the door, but get no response. I start getting annoyed and decide to file a complaint with the local police. The lady at dispatch tells me it's a really busy night and they can't spare a unit to handle it. Annoyed, I try to get some sleep, but I can only fall asleep around 7 a.m. after the music has died down. Saturday, I get home around 4 a.m. Loud music. No response to the doorbell or knocking. So another call to the police. Busy night, yada yada, no units available. Music continues until 6:30 or so. During the week, nothing happens. Friday, loud music. No response to doorbells, no police available, hardly any sleep. Getting annoyed to the point of being willing to kick the door in and destroy their sound system. But I managed to restrain myself. Saturday, loud music. I start ringing the doorbell and knocking on the door for maybe 20 minutes, and finally I get a response. Not the one I expected though. The neighbor yelled at me that she called the police. I say, fine, that saves me the trouble of doing it. I move to the door at street level to await the police. They arrive in minutes, 8 of them, which I found a bit absurd. Turns out that my neighbor told the police that I kicked her door in, which obviously I didn't. The police agree with me 100% that the volume is completely unacceptable. 2 officers go upstairs to set a maximum acceptable volume. My neighbor is completely wasted on alcohol and skunk, so the story is clear. Of course, as soon as the police leave, the volume goes up to max again until the early morning. Fast forward to next weekend. I get home on Friday around 3 a.m. and I have to work the next day. Music is loud, as I expected. By now, I'm frustrated to no end. But I decide against kicking in the door just yet. I know that the police won't show up for a minor complaint, so I think of another plan. Earlier that week, I had my electricity meter replaced due to a malfunction. The electrician did a nifty thing. He shut down the power supply to my apartment from the main fuse box, which is in the basement. I saw him remove the seal, shut down the power, and later switch the power back on and reseal the fuse box. He only used one seal though, so I managed to screw open the central fuse box and shut down the power to the apartment below me by removing the fuse. The silence was a feast to my ears. I went back upstairs and slept like a baby. I had every intention to put the fuse back the next day, but something came up and I forgot. I worked the door until late that Saturday and just wanted to get some sleep, as I wanted to go to an event on Sunday and had to leave early. I came home, looked up, and saw the flickering of the candles they had lit because their light no longer worked. I felt a sense of accomplishment come over me as I went to sleep. Sunday morning, I left early and came home late. In front of the door below me, there was a trash bag filled with stuff from the freezer that obviously didn't work anymore either. I went to sleep thinking I'd put the fuse back Monday morning before I left for work. I forgot, and eventually placed the fuse back Monday evening. I never heard them again, not even a slamming door. As a man who lives in an apartment with neighbors right above me who listen to TV really loud right when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, I say get him, guy. You get him good. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for our stories of the day, and we're going to head right into the bonus. But like I said earlier, if you've got a subreddit you want me to read as a bonus or even a main story, or if you've got your own personal story that you want me to read, make sure you head on over to the Twitter and leave it there. It's a lot more likely to be seen and in turn responded to. Anyway, today, for the bonus, we're going to be reading r/crappy design. Let's do it. Ready, set, go! I don't even care about the cheating. This person is a freaking shapeshifter. We got a humanoid blob into a man into a woman. What's going on here? Stop. Child labor for a better world. Geez, I never thought of it that way. Alright, little Jimmy, off to the factory you go. Make my soccer ball for a better world. Win a Tesla Model X P100D. This is what happens when you piss off your editor. Never piss off your editor. You know, at least once, there's been a time where all the urinals were full, and some guys had to go butt to butt to make that happen. Just no eye contact. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.